Have you ever caught yourself staring at nothing, lost in thought, not about something specific, but about everything at once? The past, the people you miss, the things you wish had gone differently, the quiet days that blend together now more than ever. There's a moment, often sometime after 60, when you realize that your body isn't the only thing that's changed. Your thoughts have changed too, and not always in ways you expected. It's not that you become negative, but there's a heaviness that wasn't there before. A certain tilt toward worry, toward regret, toward a quiet voice in your mind that says, this is just how it is now. And you wonder, what happened to the spark? The natural lift you used to feel when the day started? The instinct to look forward, to get excited, to believe in something better? It's still there, but sometimes it gets buried under fatigue, loss, routine, or even just time itself. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Not toxic positivity, not fake smiles or pretending things are fine when they're not, but the real, quiet, personal practice of teaching your mind to become your ally again. The art of positive thinking after 60 isn't about ignoring the hard stuff. It's about learning how to hold the hard stuff without letting it drown out the good. Because the truth is, your thoughts shape your day more than your calendar does. They influence your energy, your posture, your sleep, your relationships. And just like muscles, your thoughts respond to gentle, repeated attention. What you rehearse, you reinforce. The good news? It's never too late to change what you rehearse. Even if you've spent years being hard on yourself. Even if your instinct is to assume the worst. Even if your default is to expect disappointment instead of hope. Your brain is still growing, still learning, still listening. And you can shift it, not through willpower, but through small, consistent invitations. So today we'll walk through 6 gentle, practical exercises that really work. Simple things you can try starting today to help your mind begin to lean toward calm, steadiness, and even quiet joy. You don't need a journal. You don't need to meditate for an hour. You don't need to think positive all the time. You just need 5 or 10 minutes, a willingness to notice, and a few new habits that create space for a lighter experience of daily life. We'll begin quite literally with the breath, because before we change our thoughts, we must first change our state. And nothing does that faster or more reliably than how you breathe. Let's begin there. It might seem too simple, almost disappointing. After all, how could something as ordinary as breathing help change the way you think? But the truth is, breath is where everything starts, especially after 60. Most of us spend years breathing in a shallow, unconscious rhythm, not because we're doing something wrong, but because stress, posture, age, and habits slowly rewire how our bodies respond to the world. And that shallow breath becomes our normal. But shallow breath means shallow presence, shallow feeling, shallow thinking. Your brain interprets fast, shallow breathing as danger. It doesn't know you're just scrolling on your phone or watching the evening news. It thinks you're in trouble. So it prepares your body for action, raises cortisol, tightens muscles, floods the bloodstream with alertness. And that's when your thoughts get loud, unhelpful, racing, negative. But when you breathe deeply, slowly, deliberately, you send the opposite signal. I'm safe. I am okay. I can calm down now. And your brain listens. Your heartbeat slows. Your muscles soften. Your thoughts begin to shift from defense to clarity. That's why this first exercise is as powerful as it is simple. Every morning or every time you feel overwhelmed, sit down in a chair with both feet on the ground. Let your hands rest gently on your knees or lap. Close your eyes if that feels good. And start with 3 slow breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Then try a pattern that's been studied and used by therapists and doctors alike. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat this for 2 to 3 minutes. Don't try to relax. Just follow the rhythm. Feel your belly expand on the inhale. Let your shoulders drop a little lower on the exhale. Some people like to count. Others focus on the sound of their breath. Either way, what you're doing is giving your nervous system a new pattern to follow. Something stable, predictable, safe. And that stability creates a foundation for everything else, your thoughts, your attention, your mood. Evelyn, 74, began practicing this exercise every morning before she looked at her phone, turned on the news, or made her first cup of tea. Just 5 minutes in her favorite chair. At first, it felt silly, like she was doing nothing. But after a week, she noticed something strange. I didn't feel as tense by mid-morning, she said. I had more patience. I didn't cry at the news like I used to. That's not magic. That's biology. That's the nervous system returning to balance and bringing the mind with it. Breath gives you back your anchor. And once you've returned to center, you're finally in a place where the next practice becomes possible. Because once your body feels safe, your mind can begin to choose something softer. The most consistent voice you'll hear for the rest of your life is your own. Not the one you speak aloud, but the one inside. The quiet narrator. The running commentary. The phrases that rise before you've had a chance to filter them. I always forget things. I'm not as sharp anymore. I look terrible today. Most of us don't even notice them anymore. We've been saying them for decades. They feel like facts, but they're not. They're habits. Thoughts we rehearsed so many times, they became part of our background noise. And those thoughts, they shape everything. How we walk into a room, how we handle mistakes, whether we take risks or stay small. After 60, the voice inside often becomes sharper, more critical. It picks at the past. It worries over the future. It whispers doubts that sound like truth. But here's something powerful to remember. You can change that voice, not by silencing it, but by adding something new, something kinder, something more accurate. This next practice is about doing just that. Not erasing your thoughts, but gently redirecting them. Start by listening, really listening. The next time you catch yourself saying something negative, pause. Don't argue, just notice. And then ask yourself, would I say that to someone I love? If the answer is no, try this. Say something a little softer instead. Instead of, I can't believe I forgot that again, try that's okay. I've remembered so much already today. Instead of, I'm useless when I get flustered, try that was a hard moment. I did my best. The goal isn't to lie. It's to shift from judgment to observation, from attack to awareness, from shame to compassion. Words matter, especially the ones we speak to ourselves. And your brain? It listens. It doesn't care if the thought is accurate. It cares if it's repeated. So when you repeat kinder thoughts, even just a little, you start building a new path inside. You start feeling safer in your own head. You start becoming your own ally again. George, 79, had always been hard on himself. A perfectionist in everything from woodworking to conversation. But after a small stroke left him slower than he used to be, that inner voice turned cruel. You're slipping. You're a burden. You're not the man you were. Until one day, in frustration, he looked in the mirror and said out loud, "Stop talking to me like that." And in that moment, something broke. A pattern, a tone, a lifetime of unquestioned self-criticism. Now, every morning, George places one hand on the sink and says a new phrase. Sometimes it's, "I'm still here." Sometimes it's, "Let's go easy today." And sometimes it's just, "Thank you." That's not self-help fluff. That's repair. And you deserve the same. Because after everything you've lived through, your voice should sound like someone who loves you. And if it doesn't yet, that's okay. You can begin today. Because once your breath is calm and your voice is kind, you're ready to meet the next step. Not just changing how you speak to yourself, but how you anchor your identity in the strongest parts of who you still are. There's a version of you that felt strong. Maybe not in the way the world defines it. Loud, powerful, commanding, but strong in a way you remember with your body. That moment when you stood up for yourself. The time you navigated a loss and still showed up the next morning. The day you built something, by hand, by heart, by will. You were there, present, capable, alive. And even if those moments feel far away now, they didn't disappear. They live inside you. The body remembers. The heart remembers. And this third practice is about giving those memories a voice again. It's called anchoring the identity. And it's one of the most researched techniques in cognitive psychology. Because when we age, we often let go of not just routines, but roles. The mother, the builder, the teacher, the worker. And when those roles fade, we think strength fades with them. But identity isn't only about roles. It's about experience, character, evidence, and you carry plenty. This exercise is simple. Once a day, for just a few minutes, revisit a specific memory where you felt proud, where you were doing something that reminded you of your competence, your integrity, your voice. Close your eyes and relive it, not as a distant observer, but as if it's happening again. Where were you? What did the air smell like? What were you wearing? What expression did you have? Let your breath slow as you feel it. Let your posture lift, even just slightly. You don't have to stay there long, but enough to touch it. Enough to remember, that was me. Because that version of you isn't gone. It may have gotten quieter. It may have different clothes, different routines, a slower pace. But still there. Accessible, useful, real. Mary, 68, started this practice after a difficult divorce. She said she felt like she'd lost her anchor, her sense of who she was outside the relationship. Every morning, she would sit with her coffee and recall one small moment from her past where she felt rooted. Sometimes it was a memory of defending a colleague. Sometimes it was the way she comforted her father when he was sick. Sometimes it was how she packed a lunch with such care that her daughter, now grown, still talks about it. And slowly something shifted. Her tone, her confidence, her choices. Not because she reinvented herself, but because she reconnected with herself. That's the goal. To remind your brain, your body, your nervous system, you have done hard things before. You have shown up. You have mattered. And when you return to those truths regularly, your thoughts begin to rise to match that version of you. Not the one that doubts, but the one that remembers. The next practice builds on this one, but instead of looking back, it helps you feel forward again. Because the next shift happens when you stop trying to do big things and start letting small actions move you. It's easy to feel stuck, not because nothing is happening, but because the days start to feel the same. You make the bed, you wash the dishes, you check the calendar and realize there's nothing urgent, nothing demanding, nothing new. And slowly, your mind starts to tell a story. I'm not doing anything important anymore. That story is a lie, but it's a convincing one, especially after 60, when structure fades and expectations quiet down. The brain, like the body, needs signs of motion. It doesn't need big victories. It just needs reminders that you're alive and engaged. That's what this next practice is about. It's called tiny tasks, and it's one of the most grounding, practical ways to return to a sense of purpose. Here's how it works. Every morning, or every evening if you prefer, choose one small task you'll do that day just for yourself. It can be something useful, something gentle, something that's been waiting. Watering one plant, calling one person, writing a note, sorting one drawer, cooking one new dish, walking for 10 minutes instead of 5. The key is not in the size. It's in the clarity. One thing, done intentionally, done to remind you, I'm still showing up for myself. And here's the science behind it. The brain releases dopamine, one of its reward chemicals, when we make progress. Not when we finish something huge, but when we complete even the smallest action that matters to us. And that little release changes everything. It lifts the mood. It sharpens focus. It reminds the body what forward feels like. David, 71, said he felt like his life had flattened. No big events. No urgent responsibilities. Just sameness. Until he started this practice. He kept a simple index card on his kitchen counter. Every morning, he wrote one task. Sometimes it was clean the bird feeder. Sometimes it was call my cousin. Sometimes it was just sit outside and do nothing for 10 minutes. And he marked it off with a check. By the end of the week, he didn't just feel more productive. He felt more alive. It's not about what I did, he said. It's about what it reminded me. I'm still moving. That's what positive thinking needs. Evidence. Proof that you're not stagnant. That you still get to direct the current of your day. Even just a little. So if your thoughts have been heavy, if your sense of time feels blurry, try this. One task. Write it down. Do it. Breathe. And let the satisfaction of completion ripple through you. One small act of care for your space, your mind, your life. Because no day is empty when it contains intention. And no person is done when they're still choosing to show up. In our final part, we'll turn to something even gentler. Not about effort, but about attention. We'll explore how shifting what we notice can shift how we feel without changing a single thing in our external world. Sometimes the most powerful shift happens not when we change what we do, but when we change what we notice. Noticing is a skill, one that gets dulled by routine, by fatigue, by years of solving problems and holding things together. But what you pay attention to becomes your world. If you look for signs of decline, you'll find them. But if you start noticing small beauty, quiet ease, soft joy, you'll find those too. This last practice isn't about writing anything down. It doesn't require stillness or silence. It can happen while washing dishes, folding clothes, walking to the mailbox. It's called silent gratitude, and it begins with noticing just one thing each day and saying silently to yourself, thank you, not for something big, but for something real. The way sunlight filters through the curtain, the smell of warm toast, the comfort of your own blanket, the steadiness of your breath when you remember to slow it, the memory that surfaced unexpectedly and made you smile. The key is not just to think it, but to let yourself feel it just for a second. That warmth in the chest, that softening in the jaw, that little exhale, because your nervous system responds not to thoughts, but to felt experience. And when you feel even 2 seconds of gratitude, you interrupt the loop of stress. You reset the rhythm. You widen the lens of what your life is still offering. Carol, 77, began doing this after losing her sister. She said the world felt dim for months, but she started a quiet habit. Each time she made tea, she'd pause, hold the mug, and think, thank you for this moment. That's it. No journal, no tracking, no pressure, just presence. And it brought her back. One sip, one breath, one quiet thank you at a time. If you want to take it further, try this. Once a week, offer the same kindness inward. Place your hand on your chest and say, silently, I'm proud of you. Or, I see how hard this has been. Or simply, you're doing better than you think. These aren't affirmations. They're recognitions. And your body hears them. Your mood shifts. Your thinking softens. Not because the world changed, but because the lens through which you see it did. This is the true art of positive thinking after 60. Not about pretending, not about pushing, but about redirecting. Softly, repeatedly, about learning to feel again what you already know, that you're still here, that you're still growing, that your mind, like your heart, responds to care. So let's return to where we began. Positive thinking isn't a trick. It's a set of tools. Breath, kindness, memory, intention, attention, each one small. But together, they form a path, a way to come back to yourself, a way to remember that this chapter of life, like every other, deserves light. And you still get to invite it in. Thank you for being here. If something in this video resonated, share in the comments. We read them all. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come back again soon. There's always more light to notice.